welcome to an all-new episode of Car Conversations with Alex. I'm Alex, and today we are diving into all things 2024 Kia Niro EV. So starting with the exterior, as you can see, it's beautiful, and I really enjoy this shade of red. All in all, this looks light years better than the outgoing or the previous generation Kia Niro. Alright, let's talk all things interior. So starting off, this one had a lot of features that I really enjoyed. So as you can see, I have two digital screens there, and I'll get more into those later. We have a 12-volt USB and a USB-C port. I have heated seats, auto hold functions. I also have a push button park, and I have a rotary knob for my reverse, neutral, and drive. This vehicle was also push button start. Now, let's get into the screen here because this was a little bit wonky for me. As you can see, I have the factory built-in nav there, and then I also have my Apple CarPlay. Now, the screen that I'm toggling through on the side there only displays information for the vehicle. I cannot expand my Apple CarPlay screen anymore. As you can see, I'm trying to toggle through it there and it just won't happen. Now, I can use my factory nav and it will use the entire screen there. I think this is where Kia has to kind of go in and do some tweaking. The Apple CarPlay screen should definitely expand the entire length of the screen. Now, let's go into the different drive modes. I've got Eco, Normal, and Sport here. And as you can see, each one gives me a different color on its own, or of its own, I'll say. Now, let's talk about the backup camera because the quality was decent. I thought it could have been a little bit better. However, for this price range, I kind of wasn't too upset. I do get parking sensors, which I really enjoyed, and they worked very well. So that was a plus. So big ups to you, Kia, for that. As you can see, I get a lot for the money, and I was really pleasantly surprised with the overall interior space and features rather on this Kia Niro EV. Alright, let's talk about the back seat space because this seat is set for me and I would drive in this actual position. And so I had a lot of legroom back here in the back, and on a longer ride, I kind of would have been okay taking the back seat because I had a lot of space and it was very comfortable. As you see, I've got some vents down here. I also have USB-C ports in both of the seat backs. I also get a pull-down armrest that gives me two cup holders, and I get pockets on both seats. Now let's talk all things trunk related. As always, I'm going to list the overall cargo capacity. However, the trunk was very spacious and I used it a lot because I had a lot of things to carry around with me. Alright, so I have the charger in my hand right here. I came to a free charging port, or station rather. This is what it looks like. Green is letting me know that it is ready to charge. Blue tells me that it's actually charging. And then red tells me that service is necessary or needed. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this right on in here. I'm gonna hold down the clamp and insert, and then it should go blue, and it
Charging
did.
started.
So as you just heard, it said charging started, and I think we're good. Let's go back on the inside and just double check. Okay, so yes, it's telling me that charging has started, but it's gonna take 12 hours and 50 minutes. Well, thank God I don't have to get it back all the way up to 80%, but it's definitely going to take a little while. So that's a little bit on the charging for the 2024 Kia Niro EV. So I turned the car off and it said 6 hours and 30 minutes, so 6.5 hours. It was saying 12. It dropped down to 6.5. So 6.5 is still a long time. Luckily, again, I don't need it to be at a full 100% or 80%, so I'll keep you posted on how long it actually takes me to charge this vehicle. I did turn the car off, so maybe that helps. I'm really unsure. So quickly, I want to talk about the charging experience because, whew, y'all, it was a full experience. So first I got there at 35% battery and I left with the battery being around 58%. And so that took about 2 hours total, which didn't feel like a long time because I was like actively doing things. But when I left, I was like, whoa, I had been there a good amount of time. Now, um, if you notice, there's a Chevy Bolt that's next to me as well. And that vehicle, from what I've been told, parks there and charges several times a week. Now, I got this information from a Tesla owner who pulled up and saw that I was out there. He asked me, hey, how long do you actually plan on being out here? I answered his question, and then I followed up with questions as well about his personal charging experience. And what he shared with me was that for a lot of people that do not have charging stations at home, what they do is they typically will find a station and they will park their car there for an extended period of time. This particular Chevy Bolt owner, will park their vehicle there for a very long period of time. And I was also told that this owner will and has been known to unplug other owners' vehicles as they wait for their cars to charge if they are not there. And to top it off, even after he's wronged them essentially by doing that, he wrongs them again by not even giving them the courtesy of plugging their car back up after he has charged his vehicle. He just gets in and he just drives away. So that was a very, very interesting story. He shared some other things with me as well, but that was probably the main thing that stuck out to me because, whoa, you know. Now, granted, there are several other stations in the area. However, that is the closest for many EV owners in that area. So that was just one incident of how sometimes the EV charging game can be a little cutthroat. But all in all, it wasn't a horrible charging experience. I think it wasn't horrible because I only had to do it that one time. I knew that I wasn't going to be doing this time and time again, but I could see myself getting a little annoyed if I had to do this multiple times a week and rely on charging stations throughout my neighborhood or my community because I don't have the means or the funds needed to actually install my own charging unit inside of my home or at my apartment building or workplace. So I definitely see how it could be an issue. But that was my charging experience. All right, so as much as I really enjoyed this vehicle, I'm now gonna go into the pros and cons. Now, my pros and cons are on this screen over here. So when I'm doing this, it's because I am reading what is to come. So just bear with me and we're gonna dive right into it. Okay, so first up are the pros. Now, these are the things that I really enjoyed about this 2024 Kia Niro EV. So first up is going to be the overall price. I thought the price was a fantastic price because it wasn't very, very expensive. It was actually under $40,000, and that's in a really good ballpark for a lot of us who don't make a ton of money. And so that was good. The next thing was that the ride quality was very good. For the size and for the money, I was expecting it not to be that great, but it was. So big ups to Kia for that. Next is going to be the amount of standard features. I got heated seats in mine, which I thought were very useful. The trunk space was good. I could have used some ambient lighting because there was just a little bit of like lighting on the dashboard. But I got leather seats. I got the 2 screens, which I thought was really good. And overall, I felt this car had a lot of great features. It also had auto start, which was a awesome feature because it was hot. So being able to turn on that car and like have it cool down some prior to actually getting in and pulling away, big ups to Kia again. Next was that it also had a frunk. So this vehicle having a frunk allowed me to actually put like food and other smaller items inside of the frunk, especially food, and not stink up the car with food smell. So that was big. I really enjoyed that. I'm making sure I got everything on my pros list. Okay, I did. So next up are the cons. So my tester did not have a sunroof, which I felt was a big con. I almost said pro. I felt that was a big con because not only was I longing for some natural light, I also wanted some natural air. And this vehicle just didn't have that. So that sucked. I wanted a little bit more range too, because I found that, especially the way that I drove this vehicle, that the miles were dwindling a lot faster than I thought. So I would want a little bit more range. Next up was the sound system. The sound system was really not that good. I had to tweak it several times to get it to be where I felt it was decent, but even as such, then I still found that I was turning it up a lot. Like I was like, okay, let me just crank it up, because it just wasn't the best quality sound system. So I think that's a con for me. The next con for me was that the regen braking did not come to a complete stop. Now, I've been in other EVs such as the Mach-E, which will come to a complete stop when you let off of that brake pedal. However, with the Niro EV, I found that wasn't the case. And so I had to, in addition to letting off of the gas pedal, I had to also apply the brake as well. And so that was a little off-putting for me, but it was definitely something that I got used to doing, but it still made its way onto the cons list. That was it. So overall, like I said, this vehicle was a solid vehicle. It was one that I would rent again. I don't know if I would purchase this vehicle, but out of a 10, I would give this one a solid 6. If a few things were made, a few tweaks were made, I could see this car being a good 8 out of 10 vehicle because it's got a good foundation. And so with that being said, y'all, I really have nothing else on this Kia Niro EV. If you are in the market for a small SUV, but it's gotta be EV, I definitely say go ahead and put this vehicle on your list and go check it out because it's definitely worth a look. So with that being said, I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.